No cute intro. No welcoming to the video or the channel. It's time to talk about Don't Worry, Darling. I just got out of the movie and I have a lot of things to say. So much so that this is falling under the Unhinged Rant that I commonly produce on this channel. Actually, more like occasionally. Don't Worry, Darling is a film that I've had a very interesting lead up to. I saw the first trailer and honestly, I was super in. Super duper duper in. I'm a big fan of Booksmart. I thought that was a really solid movie, a very good teen comedy that knew how to write teen characters. So I was behind Olivia Wilde. Didn't realize she didn't write it. That's not the point though. The trailer itself didn't really give that much away. It's kind of setting the story up perfectly. And that came out a while ago, months and months ago. And I was really excited about it on my first watch. And then I kept rewatching it. And because you go to the movies and that's a trailer that very commonly plays before basically every movie you can think of. And I'm thinking, what is actually going on in this trailer? It's almost like they kind of put a bunch of buzzwords in there and a bunch of very common phrases and scenes from these type of psych thrillers and just kind of threw them all in there, and then that's kind of gets you going. And I just got out of the movie and I can absolutely confirm that I have been duped. You have been duped. Don't Worry, Darling is my least favorite film of this year. So in order to start the discussion on this film and really get the ball rolling, you have to go back to the beginning. You have to actually start at the foundation of what makes a movie a movie. And also, I guess, in broader terms, what makes a psychological thriller a psychological thriller. Considering that's the genre that I would put this in, other than trash. Those are the two genres, psychological thriller and trash. So, at the beginning of a psych thriller, the key for the first act is to subvert expectations, is to make everything seem fine. The key is to start at the bottom and slowly build your crescendo. Then in the second act, things start getting even weirder. The crescendo increases to an all-time high, and then the third act, that high plays out and it goes down to an ending that is suffice for the film. That's basically how movies work. You learn that in media production 1, or script writing 1. Your first university class learning about making movies, that's what you do. This movie starts off and things are already weird. At the beginning of the movie, there's no build-up whatsoever. There's no constant, steady trajectory upwards. We just start. There's no slope. There's no upward slope. We start in the middle of the mountain and we just go sideways in a perfect line, perpendicular to the bottom of the mountain. It's just right there. Things are constantly a little bit weird. We don't really gain any new information for the first 2/3 of the movie. That's how this movie is. We don't know anything. There's no cohesion to any of the points that are being brought up whatsoever. It's just random events happening, kind of haphazardly thrown about, and it is awful. It is really, really horrible. And I guess we can kind of get into this too. The cinematography is fine. I don't think the sound design is particularly good, actually. I think it's kind of hectic and chaotic, and the score is horrible, in my opinion, and I never say that. I have never once in my life said a score is horrible because I value how much effort goes into a score. This is just a bunch of breathing and you know what I mean? It's just that. And it's that, and it doesn't ever stop being that. And also that one song that's in the trailer just keeps being hummed over and over and over and over again. But that's really not the point whatsoever. The point is, because I got a little bit sidetracked there by talking about how bad the score is, there are some pretty solid to good-ish technical elements here. So much so that you're able to make, like I said, this is a great trailer movie. You can make a great trailer out of this. There are a bunch of very hype moments that you can point out and select and isolate and put them together and make it look like it's something. It is a really, really gorgeous envelope. Imagine the most gorgeous envelope that you've ever seen. It's like lavender, lilac, it's very frilly, all of that stuff. And then you open the envelope to see, you expect to see, oh my God, there's going to be such an amazing letter in here. And there's literally nothing in it. Not even just a really bad card. There's nothing there. That's what this movie is. It fails on the most fundamental level, and that fundamental level is making a story that does anything whatsoever. This story doesn't do anything. There's no purpose to what's happening. There's no point to what's happening. There's a very, very stupid, and when I mean stupid, I mean really stupid, and God, I would talk about it if I wasn't keeping this spoiler-free, message at the end of the film that's thrown in there to make everyone go, oh my God, oh, it all makes sense now, oh my gosh, this was actually genius, when in all reality, it's really stupid, and we've seen it, and we've heard it before millions of times. Things that happen in the universe of the film don't make sense. It's like watching a foreign film without subtitles, with the image blurred. It's nothing. You can't decipher what's going on. You can sometimes make out things that look like they should go together, but you can't. You really, really can't. Don't Worry, Darling is awful. It's really, really bad. Now, if you have watched me before, or if you follow me on Letterboxd, you know I watch really bad things all the time. In fact, really bad things are my favorite things to watch. In fact, I just recently watched one of my favorite films from 2021 called Sharks of the Corn. Amazing movie on Amazon Prime. Absolutely hilarious garbage, and I loved watching it. But you can probably sense that I have a sense of vitriol in my voice going on right now. And that's because I hate bad movies that act like they're something important, that act like they have a grand message, that have a purpose for existing. Don't Worry, Darling has no purpose for existing. Don't Worry, Darling was only founded off of a sophomore effort from a director who was given the world to play with because she had a bunch of really great teenage performances from people who were really good at acting like high schoolers and delivering dialogue that was not written by her. That is why Booksmart is so great. This is awful. It's horrible. The writers of the dialogue of this film, which is also just abysmal to listen to, every cliche that you've ever heard thrown in the pot, mixed around. Nothingness. It holds no weight whatsoever. They've written films such as Silence, or is it The Silence? I don't remember. The one about the birds. It's like A Quiet Place, but with the birds. And they did the Chernobyl Diaries. And there's a pair of them, and I think they're either brothers or sisters or something like that. I can't remember the exact names right now. And then there's another writer on there who did Booksmart. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. But then also they've done Isn't It Romantic, which isn't great. And then they've done Set It Up, which also isn't great. And so you start to wonder, what is going on here? And then you go to the performances, because what really brings this in is the cast. You got Chris Pine. You got Florence Pugh, one of the best actors working today. You got Harry Styles, who, guess what? I'm a Harry Styles acting advocate. Me. It's me, I am. I thought he was really good in Dunkirk. I enjoyed his performance in Dunkirk. So I was like, okay, cool. He's getting another acting role. This is awesome. I like to see him progress into the industry. Really cool. Who else is in this? Nick Kroll is fun sometimes. He is. No. See, you can have good performance. By the way, Harry Styles isn't great at all whatsoever. I'll just throw that out there. So, you know, the internet's kind of right. He's not the worst thing in the world, but he's not good. And you could have great performances. I don't even think Florence Pugh is as great. You can have you can't have these performers, these actors saying the lines exactly as how they're supposed to, but if the dialogue is terrible and the direction of how they're supposed to say their lines is terrible, they don't really have anything to work with. Therefore, the performances can't really be attributed to their talent, but actually attributed to the lack of anything. This film has nothing whatsoever. But God is in it gonna act like it's saying something. It's gonna act like it has the message to solve the world's problems. It's gonna take down that establishment that it's going against. And if you stand up against it and say that there's something wrong with it, well, you just don't appreciate good cinema, baby. No, I do appreciate good cinema, which is why I don't appreciate this. And once again, we are met with the classic scenario that we see year after year after year. We see a film that has absolutely no right to the discourse that it's receiving, receive said discourse because of controversy in one way or another, whether it has to do with the production of the film, the actual content of the film itself, or in this case, the drama surrounding the film. Oh, Olivia Wilde and Florence Pugh going at it. Oh, did you see Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine? That was so crazy, guys. Have you ever considered this is all just manufactured bullshit in order to get your asses in seats? That's what this shit is. And we fall for it every time. And we're like, oh my God, this is so interesting. There's such a storyline here. Joker is promoting incel culture. So I need to know. I need to know what it is. Okay? They're winning. You're not. You're seeing a product that doesn't really deserve your attention because the media is making you think it does. And what does Don't Worry, Darling have to gain from this? Oh yeah, it's a Warner Brothers property. And Warner Brothers only has enough money to produce 2 major products this fall and winter. And guess what? If this movie doesn't do well, that's not going to look well on their yearly roundup, yearly recap, yearly income base. Oh, well, maybe we just throw in some drama here and maybe that'll get us some money. It also doesn't hurt that we have an incredibly problematic person like Olivia Wilde to spearhead all of this. It also doesn't hurt that she's dating her person that she is directing in this movie, who just so happens to be a national pop star. Isn't it crazy, guys? Oh, movies. I love movies. I love movies. I love movies. I even have more respect for films that throw everything at a wall and see what sticks. Because you know what? Those movies that throw everything at a wall, the things that are being thrown at the wall generally correlate with each other and generally have a purpose in which order that they're being presented in. That doesn't happen here. It fails. I don't think y'all understand. It fails on the fundamental level of a movie. When you do the building blocks of how a movie goes, you go, okay, here's the first level. The first level is the story. We need to make sure that the story, A, makes sense, B, has a natural sense of progression, and C, has a good conclusion, has a good natural, wave. And guess what? This movie doesn't have any of that. Not a single thing. Don't Worry, Darling is my least favorite film of the year. I hate it with every single bone in my body. Not because of what it is. Well, yes, because of what it is. Not just because of what it is, but also what it stands for. Don't Worry, Darling, ultimately, at the end of the day, Don't Worry, Darling gets a 2 out of 10 for me. It gets a 2 because guess what? It is technically a movie. It's technically a movie and it is in movie form. Therefore, it is not a 1 out of 10. But God, if my rating scale was differently, I would definitely consider it. There's no reason for you to go see this movie. You get nothing beneficial out of Don't Worry, Darling, other than a couple of cool visuals and some okay editing. Other than that, there's nothing really to see. Oh, and a pretty solid Chris Pine performance and a okay Florence Pugh performance. That's it. That's all you get. It's not worthwhile. Go watch one of the movies from last week that are better, that have released nationwide. Don't go see this. It's stupid. It's bad. And I hate it. And I don't hate movies anymore. I'm not in that camp generally. I enjoy most, I'd say 99% of the movies that I go see for one way or another. Even if it's just a middling movie, I can find something to appreciate about it. And I can't do that with Don't Worry, Darling. So just don't go see it. No fun. Bad time. Big poopy.